Good afternoon, YouTubers. This is Steve Bradley coming to you from the God Loves People YouTube channel, and I hope you've been having a great day today. We're continuing to study the Sermon on the Mount, and we're now at the end of the Beatitudes, where Jesus begins to talk about his relationship to the law. Now, it's hard for us in Christianity to understand how important it was for him to talk about this, because to us law is not the kind of thing that it was to the Jewish folks. Jews had a view of the law that made it rule their entire life. And so when Moses gave the law and the Jews said, yes, we'll obey it, and then they failed, later on, they all decided that the most important thing about their lives was the law. So Jesus is going to address some of this material here, and it's extremely important for you and me to understand that what he's talking about is partial. He doesn't reveal everything. But as a beginning, he says this in Matthew chapter 5, verse 17. He says, "Think not that I am come to destroy the law or the prophets. I have not come to destroy, but to fulfill." And the rest of the New Testament talks about how he did that. Then he says, "For truly I say to you, till heaven and earth pass, one jot or one tittle shall in no wise pass from the law until all is fulfilled." And of course, the jot is the smallest letter in the Hebrew alphabet, and the tittle is the end of a letter, little end that sticks out of a letter in the Hebrew alphabet. And then he says, "Whoever therefore shall break one of these least commandments and shall teach men so, he shall be called the least in the kingdom of heaven. But whosoever shall do and teach them, the same shall be called great in the kingdom of heaven. For I say to you that except your righteousness, that is the righteousness of the disciple of Jesus Christ, shall exceed the righteousness of the scribes and Pharisees, you are not going to heaven." So this is a very, very important section, because it talks about how the law and the Christian, the disciple of Jesus Christ, relate to each other, but it is only partial. Now, I want to talk briefly about the rest of the Sermon on the Mount. So, this section, chapter 5, is much longer than the preceding section that has to do with the Beatitudes. Beatitudes basically covered 16 verses. However, this section covers verses 17 through 48, and it's much, much longer, with lots of illustration and description. And it has to do, as does all the rest of the Sermon on the Mount, with you and me as disciples of Jesus Christ and Jesus' commands to us. This is a primer on how to live for God as Jesus' disciple. And here is a broad brush outline, and then I'll conclude with just the outline, and then we'll go to the next section in our next video. Number 1 deals with the disciple of Jesus and the law. That's Matthew chapter 5. Jesus came to fulfill the law. He did not come to destroy it. The law has incredible depth and meaning if you look at it properly. And it is a counselor for righteousness. The disciple of Jesus, this is the second thing, and his religious behavior is different than that of the Pharisees and the Jews of the day, and Jesus details all of that. The third thing in chapter 6 is he talks about the disciple of Jesus and money. This is a hugely important thing, and it's actually quite a long section. Then in number 4, there are a series of general commands. That's chapter chapter 7, verses 1 through 12. And finally, there is a call to listen and obey Jesus. So we have these 5 sections that somewhat artificially I've divided them up, but they really do fit that pattern. So as we study together and we pull this material together and we think about it, let's remember that this is not just a theoretical series. This is you and me and how to live for Jesus Christ. What should we be like? Because that's really what Christianity is about. It's not about a particular theological position, although you do have to hold and believe certain things in order to be a child of God. But the most important thing is who you are inside, and that's what Jesus is going to talk about in just the next section and the sections following. Hope God blesses you today and that you have a great day in the will of God, serving Him. This is Steve Bradley signing off for the God Loves People YouTube channel.